Peace, Love, Liberty Radio version 4.1. Initializing upgrades. Accessing peace. Existing without violence. With the ability to calmly resolve conflict. Downloading love. An overwhelming, deep, positive affection towards others. Activating liberty. Living your life as you see fit without infringing on the lives of others.
Ashes to ashes, we're falling down. Slaves to the men that stole the crown. There's a warning sign, like a blazing sun. You don't want to see because you're having fun. But those who control all the information celebrate and lie to the people to keep them watching.
Welcome to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. I am your host, Darryl W. Perry, and today is Wednesday. That means it's the day that I answer your questions. And I was also, speaking of answering questions, was up at the State House, actually the Legislative Office building earlier today, testifying to a commission to study cryptocurrencies. And hopefully this commission decides to not recommend any regulations, but we will see. They have another meeting next Thursday that I will be at, and I'm going up there, again, testifying as a lobbyist with Liberty Lobby LLC to learn more about Liberty Lobby and to contribute. Head over to libertylobby.xyz. And be sure you sign up for the email list, because there will be an email coming out in the next couple of days about a new thing that is being incorporated into Liberty Lobby LLC. That's all I will say for now. I expect to have the email sent out by Friday. So, there is that. Again, libertylobby.xyz. But today is Wednesday. That means I answer your questions. And I've got a fairly interesting question. And it's something that people have been trying to answer in one way or another for pretty much as long as humans have existed. And there have been philosophers for thousands of years that have extrapolated on this question. What is the question, you ask? What is the meaning of life? I'm not joking. Someone sent me that question via AMA at FPPradio.com. That's AMA as in Ask Me Anything at FPPradio.com. So, what is the meaning of life? Joseph Campbell says life has no meaning, but each of us has meaning, and we bring it to life. He says it is a waste to be asking the question when you are the answer. Francois Rabelais says, I go to seek a great perhaps. Albert Camus says, you will never be happy if you continue to search for what happiness consists of. You will never live if you are looking for the meaning of life. And, well, before I continue with, there's actually a website called The Meaning of Life from the Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy. I will leave you with one more quote. The best things in life make you sweaty. Edgar Allan Poe. So, let's go to the Encyclopedia of Philosophy, the Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy. And I will read from what they have and interject my own thoughts as well. And I've skipped down a good bit in the article that they have. Meaning of life, the analytic perspective. They say in terms of the meaning of life, one could argue that we are trying to find the wider world, that is, the worldview or meta-narrative, in which the existentially salient elements and accompanying question of life fits. These existentially salient elements and accompanying question of life, for which the word life is a marker, are perennial meaning of life themes. They are what often prompt in us the grand question, what is the meaning of life? And they include several things here. So it includes a fact. Something exists. We, human beings, exist. I exist. You exist. And there's a question. Why does anything, or we, or I, or you exist at all? Does life have any purpose or purposes? And if so, what is its nature and source? Here's another fact. We are often passionately engaged in life pursuits and projects that we deem valuable and worthwhile. The question then is, does the worth and value of these pursuits and projects need grounding in something else? And if so, what? Pain and suffering are part of the universe. But why? How does it all end? Is death final? Is there an eschatological remedy to the ills of this world? These facts and questions constitute the cluster of considerations that track discussions of the meaning of life, even though reasonable debate will exist about the details. In asking what is the meaning of life, it is plausible to view this as the request for a wider world, that is, a wider worldview or meta-narrative, through which to secure the answer to these questions. Viewed as such, this renders the question, what is the meaning of life, coherent and intelligibly by securing a usage of meaning that fits naturally within a non-linguistic context. You got it? So the question, the meaning of life, is asking so much more. It's asking, why do we exist? Is there a purpose? What is nature? Is nature the source of the purpose? Is nature the source of why we exist? Does worth and value of pursuits of our passions and projects have to be grounded in something outside of ourselves? If so, what? Why is there pain? Why is there suffering? How does life end? Is death final? And does this all fit within the meaning of everything? I'll get into that and more here on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
Coinbase is a simple and secure online Bitcoin wallet for sending, receiving, and storing Bitcoin. Coinbase also allows you to buy and sell Bitcoin using a bank account or use their tools to accept Bitcoin as a merchant. Coinbase has more than 1 million consumer wallets and is trusted by over 25,000 merchants, including Overstock.com, Khan Academy, Reddit, and of course, FPP. Get started at coinbase.fppradio.com. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerous supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $1 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. That's fans.fppradio.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry.
What is the meaning of life? Why is there pain and suffering? A quote from a gym mate of mine a couple days ago, and I should note that she's recovering from having been hit by a car a couple of months ago, and she's had serious neck and shoulder pain. And so whenever I see her at the gym, I always, you still in pain? And she's, yeah. And she was, trying to do an exercise a couple days ago when I saw her at the gym. And I was like, are you okay? She said, yeah, I'll be fine. The pain reminds me that I'm still alive. And I felt that is very fitting, because in the examination of the question, what is the meaning of life? The Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy says fact. Pain exists. Pain and suffering both exist and are part of the universe. But why? Well, the pain exists to remind you that you're still alive. The most common interpretive strategy for understanding the question, what is the meaning of life, involves discarding the word meaning and reformulating the question entirely. With this approach, the question is morphed into a cluster of other supposedly less vague questions, even if no less difficult to answer. What is the purpose of life? What makes life valuable? What makes life worthwhile and not irredeemably futile? And, well, again, philosophers have been trying to answer this question for a long time. So allow me, before I continue with the write-up here, the Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy, to remind you of the birds and the bees and the butterflies. Not the birds and the bees, as in bow chicka bow wow, birds and bees, but, like actual birds, the ones that sing the pretty songs and they fly from tree to tree. And, there's the vultures. They're not that pretty, but they're still birds. And then, like the bumblebees and the honeybees and the butterflies. Butterflies start off as caterpillars, and then they turn into some kind of weird little slimy goo, and then they come out of their cocoon with these beautiful wings, and they fly around, and they go from flower to flower, and they pollinate the flowers. I don't think that the butterflies, and again, I am only speculating here because I've never had a conversation with a butterfly, but I don't think that the butterflies are wondering, what's the meaning of all of this? No, they're enjoying what they do. They like going from flower to flower because, well, that's where food is for them, so they go from flower to flower. Their purpose is to pollinate the flowers. But they're not curious about why they're pollinating the flowers. Again, as far as I'm aware, maybe they do, maybe they don't. But as far as I'm aware, the butterflies do not wonder why they're pollinating flowers. And I don't think they even realize that they are pollinating flowers. They're just like, I'm going from flower to flower. And they serve a grander purpose. So what is your purpose? Well, I can't answer that for you. I don't even know if I can necessarily answer what my purpose is, other than to try to make the world a better place. To try to, when I die, I want the world to be freer than it was when I was born. And right now, the world is not freer than when I was born. Hell, the world is not freer now than it was when I graduated college. In fact, we're a lot less free on both counts. But I do want the world to be freer in my lifetime. I want more people to understand the ideas of liberty. I want more people to question the answers. Yes, I said question the answers. You may have heard question authority, but I saw a bumper sticker several years ago, and I love it. It says question the answers. And part of that can possibly be detrimental to you, but, if it's a good answer and you're questioning, well, why? Then, you might just be a little dense. But when I was younger, and if you ever meet my father, he will, tell you this is true. But when I was younger, because I said so was never a good enough answer for me. Never. I would ask a question. Well, because I said so. Well, why? Because I said so. But why are you saying so? Because I said so. But why? And I remember one time asking the question, why are the stripes on the road, why are they white and yellow? And the answer was, well, the white stripe means, the traffic's going the same way, and the yellow stripe means it's going opposite ways. But that wasn't my question. My question wasn't, what do the colors symbolize? My question is, why is it white and yellow? Why is it not blue and green? Why is it not red and something else? Why is it white and yellow? And I think I was probably an adult before I found out that the reason that it's white and yellow is because those are highly visible, and it's very difficult to confuse those colors. So if the paint sort of starts to fade away or get run over a lot, like, you can still distinguish the white and the yellow. Whereas if the colors were, say, blue and red, well, those things could a lot more easily sort of get merged in is probably not the right word, but it's a lot easier for those to not be seen. They're not a highly visible color necessarily, although red a little bit more than blue, but you get the point. I would never just accept the because I said so. So, let me continue. Now, they say, following precedent in the literature, especially of R.W. Hepburn, this approach, that is, breaking down the question of what is the meaning of life to what's the purpose, what makes life valuable, what makes life worthwhile and not irredeemably futile. This approach for addressing the vagueness in the question of life's meaning may be called the amalgam thesis. That's amalgam, A-M-A-L-G-A-M, thesis. Roughly framed in the terms of meaning is a largely ill-conceived placeholder for a cluster of related requests, and thus not really a single question at all. But let's look at some different views on the meaning of life, and we will do that here in moments on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at weusecoins.com. That's weusecoins.com. When her plush and comfy life suddenly and unexpectedly fell apart, Brooke and her dog Cloud set out to defy the odds. If this is a man's world, as they say, living on the streets is no place for a young woman. One day she awoke in the redwood forest and realized she had become a hobo, and would ultimately come to know exactly what it means to survive. How to Be a Hobo by Brooke Willett is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
Hey, welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. Now, I'll tell you something that is valuable, and you could certainly put some meaning into it if you wanted to, and that would be precious metals, gold and silver. And you want to know where you can get some and where people have been doing so for nearly 40 years? That would be Roberts and Roberts Brokerage. Since 1977, Roberts and Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. That's rrbi.co. So what are some different views on the meaning of life? Well, the Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy, there are four primary competitors: supernaturalism, objective naturalism, subjective naturalism, and nihilism. Roughly, supernaturalism maintains that God's existence, along with appropriately relating to God, is both necessary and sufficient for securing a meaningful life. although different accounts can be given as to the nature of this relationship. Among countless others, historic representatives of supernaturalism in the Near Eastern ancient world and in subsequent Western history are Koholeth, which that might be a word that you have never heard before. That's actually the word that is written in the book of Ecclesiastes to describe the author that most people say is Solomon, but most likely was not Solomon. The word roughly translates to the teacher or the preacher. So they say here, Koholeth, Jesus, Paul, Augustine, Aquinas, Edwards, Pascal, and Tolstoy. The supernaturalist position can be plausibly viewed as possessing three distinct yet related dimensions: metaphysical, epistemological, and relational axiological. And then they get into those. I will skip now to the next competing philosophy, which is objective naturalism. And objective naturalism, like supernaturalism, posits that a meaningful life is possible, but denies that a supernatural realm is necessary for such a life. Life in a purely physical world devoid of finite and infinite spiritual realities is sufficient, they say, for meaning, according to objective naturalism. And then there's a little bit more written about that. And as always, this will be in the show notes. You can read it at your leisure. Somewhat similar but different is subjective naturalism, which, like objective naturalism, posits that a meaningful life is possible apart from something like supernatural or supernaturalism being true. But unlike objective naturalism, it differs on what confers meaning to life. According to subjective naturalism, what constitutes a meaningful life varies from person to person and is a function of one getting what one truly wants, or by achieving self-established goals, or through accomplishing what one believes to be really important. Caring about or loving something deeply has been thought by some to confer meaningfulness to life. Subjectivism seems most plausible to some in light of perceived failures to ground objective value either naturally, non-naturally, or supernaturally. And skipping down here, they say that nuanced forms of naturalism vis-a-vis meaningfulness of life make room for both objective and subjective elements, and is captured nicely by Susan Wolf, who said meaning arises when subjective attraction meets objective attractiveness. On this view, the objective and the subjective must unite in order to give birth to robust meaningfulness. Meaningfulness is not present in a life spent believing in, being satisfied by, or caring about worthless projects. However, neither is it present in a life engaged in worthwhile, inherently valuable projects without believing in or caring about or being satisfied by them. In short, if you're just going through life not doing anything that you find to be valuable, then your life, according to the naturalist, your life will not have meaning. But something that is basically the complete opposite of naturalism, whether it's subjective, objective, or supernaturalism, is nihilism, or what they refer to as pessimistic naturalism. And I want to save this for the last segment. So let me read. There's just a little bit more written about the naturalism, the subjective, objective, and supernaturalism. They say, though they are in disagreement on the condition of meaningfulness, both objective and subjective naturalism are united in their rejection of supernaturalism and supernaturalism's insistence that God, or a God, is necessary in order to secure a meaningful life. Now, In complete opposition to those three is nihilism. I'll tell you their view next.
Are you sick of government lackeys who say you didn't build that? Are you tired of elitists who think you need a government permission slip for everything? Everything you do is an A to B conversation, and the government should see their way out of it. Create true free markets by adopting the BIPCOT No Government License. The BIPCOT No Gov license allows use or modification of any product, service, or software except by governments or government agents. Go to BIPCOT.org. That's Bravo, India, Papa, Charlie, Oscar, Tango.org.
Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs offers premium publicity campaigns designed to facilitate an organization's adoption of Bitcoin as a payment system. Bitcoin Not Bombs is fully committed to being the hub of the nonprofit sector of the Bitcoin economy, maximizing the potential cross-promotion of all our clients and commercial partners. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com.
Hi, this is Roger Paxton from the Lava Flow Podcast, the Free Coast Freecast, and Pax Libertas Productions, and you're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry.
Here in the closing moment of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, what do the nihilists think about the meaning of life? Well, they say that, or rather, nihilists deny that a meaningful life is even possible because literally nothing has value. And some may say that Kohelet, and this is me going off script here, some may say that Kohelet, the writer of Ecclesiastes, was a nihilist because there's the thing that is repeated over and over, vanity of vanities. I forget the rest of the verse, but basically saying that everything is a vanity. And some look at that and they're like, oh, well, that's very, sort of very, very pessimistic, almost saying that nothing has meaning. But they, here on the Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy, say that no, what Kohelet was actually saying is that nothing has meaning outside of God. And whether you believe that or not, I am not going to disagree because I think that everybody has to find the meaning for themselves. But the nihilists say that life can have no meaning because nothing has value. One way to understand nihilism is by seeing it as a fusion of theses and assumptions drawn from both supernaturalism and naturalism. That is to say, nihilism may be seen as requiring, one, that God or some supernatural realm is likely necessary for value and a meaningful existence, but that no such realm exists and therefore nothing is of ultimate value. Other forms of nihilism on states like boredom and dissatisfaction, arguing that boredom sufficiently infuses life so as to make it meaningless, or that human lives lack the requisite amount of satisfaction to confer meaning upon them. Another form of nihilism is, or rather that is logically compatible with the existence of God, is one based upon a disparity between standpoints. It has been argued that from the most distant, detached viewpoint, nothing we do seems to matter at all. If one thinks that it is possible to view even God and the economy of his workings from some more distant standpoint, then even supernaturalism may face a nihilistic threat. Now, they then go in to talk about death, futility, and the meaning of life, and the future of the discussion about the meaning of life. And it's very interesting. Link will be in the show notes. Read it at your leisure if you want. And send me more questions. I answer them every Wednesday, AMA at FPPRadio.com.
The podcasts of FPP Radio are licensed under Copy Heart. We believe that copying is a form of flattery and do not abide by the copyright laws. Those laws serve to restrict the flow of ideas which no one can really own. Copying is an act of love. Love is not subject to law. If you enjoy the show, consider joining the Fans program and get perks like ad-free versions of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio and FPP Radio News, and also get a copy of the monthly newspaper FPP News. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com.